Wake up College Place, you could reach 72 degrees today. I'm Kevin Schaub.
Wake up White Swan, you can expect a mostly clear day ahead. I'm Claire Graham. You're watching Wake Up Northwest.
Let's start your Wednesday.
Wake up, you gotta shine with the sun. And here it comes, it's time to make the best of what you've got to give. It's all about early, and I wanna be there.
Welcome back. Good morning.
Good morning, it is. It's 5 o'clock Wednesday morning.
April 30th today. Here's what's happening right now. The U.S. Senate is set to vote today on raising the federal minimum wage.
Zach Summers standing by in the newsroom this morning with more on the vote and what it means to you. Zach, how much are we talking about here?
Well, good morning, Kevin and Claire. Senate Bill 2223 would gradually raise the hourly minimum wage from $7.25 to $10.10 by 2016. In Washington state, that means minimum wage workers would make an average raise of about $375 annually. Now, Republicans are expected to block this measure, saying lawmakers should focus on bills that will create jobs instead. U.S. Senator Patty Murray disagrees. Yesterday, she gave a speech on the Senate floor not only highlighting Washington state's already high wage, but also pointing out that 2/3 of those making minimum wage are women, saying the current federal wage is just unacceptable.
They can't save up for a car, much less a house. They can't pay for school to get new skills and a new job. And they can't even afford to provide their children with warm winter clothes or basic medical care.
Now, Democrats say this wage increase is a matter of fairness. They also see this as a political advantage because it shows the GOP does not want to help struggling families. Now, again, the Senate is expected to vote on this sometime today. The last time the federal minimum wage was raised was back in 2009 when it was set to the current $7.25 an hour. Live in the newsroom, Zach Summers, NBC. NBC right now.
Now, Zach, exactly how many people would this affect in our state?
Well, 400,000 people in Washington, Claire, would get a raise. More than 200,000 of those workers would go to women, or raises rather, would go to women.
All right. Thank you.
Also new this morning, the American Lung Association has released its ranking of the best and the worst cities for air quality.
Carl Hensley is standing by this morning with a breakdown. Carl?
Good morning, Kevin and Claire. Yeah, the American Lung Association has come out with a new report that says nearly half of Americans are living in counties with the poorest air quality, and it's the 15th annual State of the Air report card. And from the American Lung Association shows that although particle pollution is down, smog levels are higher than last year. Researchers also found almost 1 in 10 Americans live in one of the 17 counties with unhealthy levels of all types of pollutants measured in the report. So nearly half of the people in the United States, and that's about 148 million people, live in counties with unhealthy levels of either ozone or particle pollution. And 22 of the 25 most ozone polluted cities in the 2014 report, including LA, New York City, and Chicago, had more high ozone days on average when compared to last year's report. And despite vast improvements, the Los Angeles, California area is listed as the most ozone populated city, while Anchorage, Alaska was the city with the fewest polluted days. Now, luckily, our region didn't make it onto the list as an area with the poorest air quality when it comes to pollution, but pollen, now that's a whole nother story. Live in the newsroom, Carl Hensley, Wake Up Northwest.
Thanks, Carl.
Okay. Well, if you've been sniffling and sneezing from allergies this spring, the Benton County Health District says be prepared for the worst this coming weekend.
Yeah, Dr. Amy Person says the pollen count is medium to high in the area right now, mostly from alder, ash, and mulberry. Now, Dr. Person says to learn what you're allergic to, your doctor can give you a skin test, but it's important to be specific with your doctor about your symptoms.
Sometimes it can be hard to tell the difference between allergies and a cold. Things you can look for is allergies because they're not an infection. You won't see a fever with that. Typically, it'll be more kind of the clear runny nose, clear watery eyes.
Dr. Person says the dry climate, high winds, and a long growing season all contribute to the high pollen levels. She says staying inside on windy days, showering before bed, and cleaning your pet regularly can all help to reduce your allergy symptoms. Forecasters say the storm ripping through the Midwest and the South part of the United States appears to be weakening, but the weather is still threatening millions of people.
The National Weather Service says severe thunderstorms may roar across the South again today, bringing a slight risk of hail, damaging winds and tornadoes. Heavy rain will be the norm for Florida, North Carolina, Virginia Beach, and Atlanta. Since tornadoes started touching down on Sunday, at least 3 dozen people have died in several Midwestern and southern states. Some severe flooding in lower Alabama and northwest Florida kept first responders busy overnight. Here are pictures from Mobile, Alabama, where firefighters rescued a man from a flooded creek. There you are. Firefighters saw the man hanging from a tree for about a half an hour before they rescued him. The Northwest Avalanche Center is warning of avalanche dangers on the west slopes of the Cascades.
The Forest Service says about a foot of new snow has fallen in parts of the mountains, reaching or nearing the season maximums for several areas. The Avalanche Center says the sunshine this week is likely going to keep the avalanche risk high, so hikers, climbers, and skiers should avoid avalanche terrain for now. Now, cherry farmers in our area say the warmer weather is helping their crops this season. Dan Kelly of the Washington Growers Clearinghouse in Wenatchee says since the weather is cooperating right now, the bloom is nearly a week ahead of schedule. Growers say they typically hope for a 3-month harvest because it's more profitable than a crop that ripens all at the same time. The cherry picking usually starts in early June. In Hanford news, the Department of Energy says an independent review will help determine how to protect workers from chemical vapors at the Hanford tank farms.
In recent months, doctors have had to look at more than 24 workers who were exposed to those vapors. At the State of the Hanford meeting in Richland last night, Kevin Smith from the Office of River Protection says that review panel will recommend what Hanford should do about protecting its workers while still getting the job done.
We're going to have a complete, robust, engineered look at all of this. But I'll also say that we really want this to be a healthy environment for the workers for once and all. It's time to just put this thing to bed.
Also at the meeting, the DOE says it is working with Fish and Wildlife to manage and preserve the wildland areas along the river corridor. The Richland DOE also talked about possible budget cuts in the future, which could, of course, translate into a smaller cleanup budget as well. Washington River Protection Solutions is also asking the Savannah River Laboratory Group to come in and review the working environment after those reports of chemical vapors at the tank farms. The South Carolina lab created originally for finding new alternatives to the use of nuclear technology. Now, the strong suits include researching waste cleanup initiatives and finding new ways to carry out environmental management of the Department of Energy's programs throughout the nation. A spokesperson says the review will be detailed. And the spokesperson says, expect a few months to pass before new information is released to the public.
The Umatilla County District Attorney says an Athena police officer who shot and killed a man on Monday has a history of officer-involved shootings. Police Sergeant Eric Palmer says he shot and killed 55-year-old Terry David King in Umatilla County when King walked towards him carrying a gun. District Attorney Dan Primus says Sergeant Palmer also shot and killed a man in LeGrand back in 2008. Then, while serving as a Pendleton police officer in 2011, Sergeant Palmer shot and injured a wanted man. Investigators ruled both of those shootings were justified. Palmer remains on paid leave today while police review the latest shooting. A lawyer in Yakima says his client isn't the only young woman who was sexually abused by a jiu-jitsu instructor. Yakima police say a 20-year-old woman claims 35-year-old Cristiano Oliveira forced her into having sex more than 100 times while she was a minor. Now, her lawyer, J.J. Sandlin, says he's also representing another young girl who claims the owner and head instructor of Gracie Barra Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu also treated her inappropriately.
This martial arts company promised them that they would provide a mentor who could be trusted, who would teach ethics and would teach responsibility to this child. And instead, he groomed her.
Police arrested Oliveira last week on charges of child rape, molestation, and sexual misconduct with a minor. He's currently in the Yakima County Jail on a $1 million bond. Employees at the jiu-jitsu company say they didn't know about the second allegations against Oliveira.
Early next week, the Yakima School District will hand out this year's Crystal Apple Awards. Out of 18 teachers nominated, the school district chose 5 teachers: Elizabeth Barnowski, Linda Field, Earl Henderson, Irene Smith, and Jude Teagan.
Because often you don't hear the thank yous, and this is something that is my passion and that I'm dedicated to.
Along with the Crystal Apples presented on Monday, each teacher will receive $1,000.
That must be a nice supplement then for those teachers for their classrooms and whatnot.
They deserve probably more than that.
That's probably true. All right. Well, it is 5:10. In 10 minutes, we'll have all your new overnight sports updates.
Coming up, we'll have your weather for the day.